Hi my little shardies, welcome and welcome back. This is Christina with Shhh Online. Today we are going to be working on the chimpanzee spread we did last week. This is going to be part 2. I think what I'm going to do is just do like small parts of it and then finish it off camera. That way you can get an idea on what I'm doing. Show you the full spread. We worked on this chimpanzee the last time, and then I finished these two off camera and I showed you what I was doing with them. And I started this page on my own just to get an idea of the color palette that I wanted. So I'm going to do an example over here and show you guys what I am doing. I zoom in, 948 sepia, and I'm going to put my pencil in an extender. And I'm going to start with this tree in the back because it's got a lot of really dark area there. And that's where I'm going to put in my sepia. And I'm just doing kind of a really light initial coat, so I'm not pressing super hard. I'm going to have to be careful around the chimp here because I don't want the tree to blend in. So I'm probably going to put some of the other colors over top of that. And then I think that this tree limb here is going to really put a lot of shadow on here. So I'm probably going to add that in a little bit later, but keep in mind that that's probably going to be kind of dark right there. And probably make that a little darker here too. And I may darken even some of this up with some black. Actually, we'll do that right now. So I'm just going to lightly go over top of the darkest area that I put the sepia. I'll go back over it again with the sepia. And I'm being a little more heavy-handed there over the black. I don't want to turn it black. I just want to make the sepia darker, a darker shade of brown. And I'm trying not to do that so much over here where the chimp is because I want the chimpanzee to stand out. And if I make this too dark right here, I'm not sure the chimp will stand out. So now I'm going to go in with some 1082 chocolate. And I'll probably make the front, this tree in the front, a little bit lighter. This is a little further back, so I'm going to assume that it's going to look a little bit darker. And I think what I'm going to do is speed up a little bit in between layers so that it helps the process. But I'll give you the general idea right now. Now I'm going to come in with 941 light umber. And in the lightest spots, I'm going to put that. I think what's most important, and I've said this in a lot of my other videos, is just get started. Put pencil on paper. Come back in with my 948 sepia. And I'm just going to get this area under this tree here. This limb here. I don't think I can talk tonight. Sorry, guys. Where I think it's going to be darkest at, I'm just kind of pressing a little harder for now. I'm not sure I'm going to put any black on this part. I don't think there's a whole lot obstructing it, so it's not going to be super dark like the brown I have over here under this card. All right, and now I'm going to come in with my 1082 chocolate. And I'm just going to hit those areas that I did not put the light umber. And I do go over top of some of the sepia here and there just to kind of help blend it in, but it's a personal choice, so it's completely up to you guys if that's what you want to do or not. You can leave it by itself. You know, you don't have to blend into that if you don't want to. And I would usually take my time and layer, but I'm not sure how much layering I'm going to do tonight. Might only be 1 or 2 layers instead of my standard build it up. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to bring it right into that sepia. Right, now I'm going to come back in again with the light umber, and I'm just going to blend into that chocolate I just put down there. So that is what I have so far. And I'm just going to continue that with the other branches and trees. Now again, you can go back in and keep layering if you don't like, sorry, I'm using sepia, if you don't like that it's not dark enough in certain spots. If you want to go back in where they have all the lines, you can always darken those areas up after the fact. Right now, I think it's just important to get some color on the paper. You can also take a blending stick if you want to and blend that out. I'm not going to because I really like it's a little textured, and I think that's important in this particular image, but you can always blend that out, make it smoother. It will help it stand out from the chimpanzee. And it is far enough back that you won't have, you won't need a ton of texture, but I want that there, so I'm gonna leave it there for now. But it's an option for you guys. All right, now I'm gonna do a little bit of this main trunk here, and I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. I'm gonna come in with my 948 sepia, and I'm gonna look for the areas that have, let me see if I can zoom this in more. The darkest collection of lines, like right here and right here, and then here and here. And that's where you're gonna put the sepia. And the areas that have almost no lines, that's gonna be your lightest color. So in this particular case for me, it's going to be the light umber. And then everywhere else is gonna get that pretty chocolate brown. Got a little bit of red in it. I really like that. And then this looks like the tree behind, like a limb in front here. So I'm going to make this darker back here. And this is behind this vine that's coming up here. It's going to have a little more shadow. And then right in this area here is kind of lighter, but I do want it to like look a little shaped. So I'm going to go really lightly. I'm barely touching the pencil to the paper. I'm going to do really lightly right there because I'm going to come over that with the chocolate, but I want that chocolate to be a little darker than some of the areas around it. Do the same thing right here. The only way you're going to get fully into this crease is if you take this book apart, or you get a super sharp, long lead on your pencil. You might be able to get in there. But you'll probably get some of the pencil on this other adjoining page, which in this case is not bad because, you know, that's also the tree over there. Again, I'm going to go really lightly over some of these that have a lot of lines because they're not like super close together, but I'm going to want them to be a darker like chocolate brown, so the other chocolate brown around it stands out a little bit more too. So I'm not really pressing very hard. Another thing that you can do is, see right here, I did really lightly, but I think that there's like a lot of, maybe this is like indented a little bit, so I'm just going over like where that line would be at the bottom, just a little bit darker. That way when I color over it and blend, that looks like it's kind of indented down in a little bit. And I'm going to have to sharpen my pencil to get in there, but I'm going to color some of the other stuff first, so I don't want to waste the pencil if I can help it. And again, I think it's going to be kind of a little more shaped right here, so I'm making it a little darker at that line. And then it should be shadowed right here, so. Right here it looks like it would be really dark, so I'm making that extra dark right there along the limb, and as I come out from it, I'm loosening up on my pencil, so it's making it lighter. So I'm kind of like really dark here at the line and then lighter as I go out. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So that looks like a really dark area because it's coming off that main tree. I think shooting videos has been just as informative for me as it is for some of you guys, because I realized when I first started doing this that I don't explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't think I think too much about it. I just kind of go with whatever it is. And then when I started shooting this YouTube channel, I had to figure out that I needed to explain why I was putting a color somewhere. And sometimes I just don't know. I just want to put it there. But it's been informative because it's helped me think through the process a little bit more than I would have before. So in that instance, I'm still learning and I'm still growing, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are growing with me. I didn't ask in part 1, but I'll ask now. How many of you guys like this book? I really like it. It's still got a little bit of Kerby flair, and I like the base cause of the book. I still love my Worlds Within Worlds. I think this is definitely in the top 3 Kerby books. My favorites are Worlds Within Worlds, this one, and I think Mythomorphia would be my next one. And Mythomorphia because it was the first adult coloring book that I ever colored in. Anyone who doesn't think they can do this, all you have to do is take a little part of the picture at one time and just work on that. It'll all come together at the end. Just don't give up on it. I know some of his stuff can be a little bit intimidating because there's a lot going on the page. But if you look at it in just little parts, it makes it a lot easier with him instead of trying to view the entire picture at one time. So like instead of focusing on the whole book, just focus on this little corner here. Start there and then work your way up. It becomes a lot easier when you do that. And I don't think this book is as detailed as some of his other ones, but that's how I approach most Kerby images. I just start with a small spot and work my way out. Because if I try to do the whole picture at one time, then it can be a little bit intimidating and overwhelming. And as you can see, guys, I'm just going right down and adding this sepia to the darker areas. Trying to get my base color down. I'm taking my time. I think he's showing that a lot of shadows should be right here. There was a lot of lines there. So I pressed a little harder in that area. I feel like my coloring is like really sloppy tonight. I haven't colored in a few days, so I've been in kind of coloring withdrawal. And now I'm just so excited to be coloring that I'm just like not being as careful as I usually am. So I've been asked by quite a few subscribers to do more of these real-time color alongs, and I realized that the videos can be extremely long when I do that. So I wanted to know from you guys how long you think a real-time color along would be. Like, how long would you want to devote to a real-time color along? You know, I don't want to color something for 3 hours on a color along, but, you know, everybody only has an hour to work on it. So if you had like an ideal amount of time to work on a color along, how long would that be? That would give me an idea on how long to make these videos. I can make them more parts if necessary. Do you guys like when I do the entire picture at one time, or do you prefer if I just do like a little bit of something and then let you guys work on it off camera? How do you prefer this style of video? All right, I think that's what I'm going to do right now for that base sepia color. I did sharpen my pencil a little bit, but it's not an extremely long tip on it, so I'm going to try to get in here a little bit into this spot here to see if I can't. I hate coloring into the spine. It's one of the only things I don't like about his books. They always go right into the spine. And I don't necessarily want to break the spine of the book to get in there. Sorry, I know I'm doing a little part off camera. So I'm just trying to get in there. You guys do the best you can. I know it's really hard. Some books are kind of easier to get in there, and some not so much. And I know some of this should be lighter, but I'm not really worried about that because I'm just trying to get out of the spine. If anybody's got a really good trick about getting in there, make sure to drop a comment in the comment box below. We're now going to add 1082 chocolate. I'm going to start all the way back up at the top here. Now I'm not sure if that is part of this fruit here or the tree. So I think I'm going to leave that alone for a moment. I mean, at some point you're going to have to decide, is that a fruit or a tree? It looks like it could be, but it also looks like the tree kind of comes up like this and kind of tapers in under this branch. And that kind of looks like it could be like another piece of darker fruit back there. So I think I'm going to wind up making that fruit. And I'm going to come in here again in the spine as much as I can. This chocolate. In this dark part, this part of the tree that's going to be darkest here because this branch is going over it, I'm blending the chocolate into the sepia color. And I think I'm going to leave this one and make this one light umber here. So I'm just going to come over here now. Told y'all I cannot talk tonight. I keep trying. This needed to be a silent video. I'm just coming off this branch, still kind of giving it like a darker shadow area toward the top, and then I'll blend my light umber there. So I'm doing a heavier hand toward this area and then lightening it up as I go down. And then remember here, I had made that lighter with the sepia, and I'm going to go over that with the chocolate, so it's just a little bit different of a color than the other colors around it. And I still may need to darken that up just a little bit. And don't be worried if your tree on one side doesn't match exactly the tree on the other. You can always add elements in. Like this is a little more red over here, but I did this a couple weeks ago, so I don't know if this is a little bit of fading or maybe I didn't use as much of the chocolate color. But all you have to do if that happens is just add a little bit of the chocolate into this color on the other side, and it will help blend the two together. And if not, it gives it some character. And again, I'm kind of going darker up here for under that vine, and then going lighter as it goes down, kind of gradiating it a little bit. Usually I would really build up the layers here, but I'm not going to tonight. This video is already taking quite a long time. And I'm going right over top of the sepia here. And I'm just leaving some areas where there's not a lot of lines for the light umber to go. Get in this spine here. He's such a sharp point to get in there. That point is not sharp enough. I'm going to wait until I have to sharpen this to get back in there and try to get a little more into that. And right now I'm just going kind of over that where I put the sepia really lightly. Change that color brown a little bit. And instead of working my way down the rest of this tree, I'm just going to do the light umber right here. And again, I might finish this part. I might finish these trees off camera. It's going to be the same general concept of what I've already showed you. But I'm kind of babbling tonight. And I want to make sure you guys have the best content possible. And once you've done one tree, pretty much do the same thing for the other trees. Now you can switch it up where you have more, say, light umber in one tree instead of chocolate, or on one branch. Like if I wanted to do this one, I wanted to make it really light, I might just do the light umber and the sepia and leave the chocolate out. That would make this really stand out, but you want to kind of keep using the same colors, but you don't have to use them in exactly the same way and you'll get a totally different effect. All right, so you just want to carry on with this down the tree and I'll be back. You guys, what I did so you can work on your own picture. So I'm going to show you how to do these. I think they're papayas over here, probably the one in his mouth over here. And then I'm going to show you how I did just the basic foliage here. So I left one of these open, I left one on the tree open, and I left some foliage there. And then I'm going to show you how I did this vine. So that way it doesn't take a really, really long time. And that should give you guys enough of an overview on what I've been doing to finish this picture. I still have to do a background. I don't think I'm going to do it on this video. We'll see though. Let me go ahead and zoom in. Guess we'll start with the papayas. So I'm just going to do what I did here, I think. And it's a lot of colors. It doesn't look like it is, so bear with me. All right, I think I'm going to do this guy in the back here kind of red or orange. So I'm going to take my 925 Crimson Red and just going to put a little bit toward the top there, a little bit at the bottom. Again, you know, where you have a lot of lines, it's going to be a little darker there. I'm not really worried about exactly where I'm putting the red, just trying to get a little red in it. And now I'm going to take some 1032 orange and then go right up against that red. Some 118 cadmium orange and fill in that spot there. And I'm going right over top of the other colors to kind of blend it in a little bit. You know, I'm sorry guys, this was not 118, this was 918. I apologize. So that last little bit where I blended everything is 918, not 118. And then if you really want to, you can add some 917 Sunburst Yellow to kind of brighten it up a little bit. I'm just going right over top of the edges there. All right, and I think while I have this yellow out, I think I'm gonna make this one here a little more on the yellow side. So just gonna kind of throw some of this yellow in here as a base color. And I'll throw some 916 in for my highlight right here. And some 918 orange. Just a little bit. Oops, that was a little darker than I wanted to do. Sorry. I'll blend it out a little bit in a minute. I'll come back in here with my 917 Sunburst Yellow. Kind of go over that to blend it in a little bit more. And then the 916 Canary Yellow at the end there. All right, and I think this one will do green. So I'm going to use 911 olive green. And I think I'm going to come off this way. And then I'm going to come in with my 912 apple green. Just come right in off of that. Some 913 spring green in the middle. And this is going to be a lot like the colors that we do for the plants. So to make it stick out just a little bit more, I'm going to throw in some 916 Canary Yellow right over top that middle area. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that one up there. I think that one might be a combination of maybe a little green and a little bit of orange. So let's do a little bit of olive green. And then I'll add in some 1032. And then I'm going to go with 918 orange. I'll take my Canary Yellow again. And just highlight a bit. My olive green. Darken up this one in the back. I actually think on this one in the front I might just throw a little, I'm very lightly touching, I'm barely touching the paper, just putting a little tiny bit of green in that. I like that. I think that looks better. What do you guys think? Alright, so that's how I'm doing the papayas. I think they look pretty good. So let me come down here and show you guys how I was doing the foliage. Alright, so for here, I had already started doing it on these other ones to show you, but I used 911 olive green. And all I'm really doing is just throwing a little bit of olive green in there. I'm not even worried about making it perfect because there's so many leaves here. If I did that, I'd be here all day. Then I'm coming back in with 912. And I'm just coming off of those leaves a little bit, kind of blending into that olive green I just put in there. And then I'm coming in with 913 on the edges and just brightening it up a little bit. I'm keeping it pretty simple again because there are so many leaves. Also, make sure that you're adding your shadows. I don't know if you can see where I added just a little bit of black. I didn't do it very hard. I just lightly went in and put a little bit, you know, I'm barely touching the pencil to the paper. But that will really help it stand out and pop and not blend so much in with the tree. So make sure you're adding those little bit of shadows. All right, so the next thing I guess is this vine that's right next to it. And I pulled in a couple new colors for that because I wanted it to go really well, but not completely blend in. So the main color I've been using is this moss brown and artichoke. That's what I'm using for the vines. I did throw in a little bit of green ochre too, but I'm going to try it without it for a minute. All right, so I was going where there's a lot of lines. So where I think it would be darker. And I am pulling it up a little bit past that area in some spots so it's not like, you know, completely uniform across. So like that. And then I'm coming in with the 1098 artichoke. And I'm just laying that over on the lighter side. And I really want this to stand out here. I feel like that's like wrapped around there. So I'm going to put a little bit of the moss green kind of as a highlight. I'm going to go, or I'm sorry, as a shadow. I'm just going to go back and darken that up just a little bit. Call that a day. So that's what I did for the vines going up. Again, I'll zoom out at the end to show you. So now we're going to do this plant right here. So 908 dark green, and basically what I did was I came down each of these marks on this tree with this 908 dark green. I'm not trying to be perfect about it. You can blend it out if it's not exactly the way you want it. So just coming down, kind of throwing some of that color. I know this is a little sloppy, guys. Bear with me. Like that. And then I'm coming back through and in certain spots, just kind of going out a little bit on the leaf with this color. And then I'm going to do my lightest color first. Coming on my edges there, and then I'm going to come in with my 912 apple green and kind of blend it together. Again, there's so many ways to do leaves. There are so many ways I do leaves. I'm just kind of going pretty quickly and super basic right now. But feel free to choose to do them any way you'd like. Now you can come back in if you want and use a blender to blend those together, or leave them as they are. It's completely up to you. I'd love to use blender if I could find it. Oh. So a blender pencil is 1077. You can just go over top of it. And blend it out a little bit. And then this is the 913 again, and I'm just gonna throw a little bit more of this lighter green in there. All right, and then this last one right here, I used some olive green. Again, I was not very cautious with this stuff. I'm kind of just getting the color on the paper. So in where all the major squigglies are, and it looks like it's behind, there are branches behind, that's kind of where I'm throwing this. I'm not trying to make it perfect. This is going to be like, you know, something that's viewed from a distance, so it doesn't have to be perfectly colored. It's a combination of colors will work just as well. And then again, I'm going in here with some 912 apple green, just filling in some of those spots. I'm very much not looking for perfection at this point. And then your 913. I think what I'm going to do is some crimson red where there's a lot of lines. I'm going to go with my 1032 pumpkin orange. I'm going to go right over top that crimson red. I think I'm actually going to go in with my yellow first, 917 yellow. Sorry, sunburst yellow. And then I'm going to throw a little bit of 918 orange in there. And I'm going to go right over top that yellow, but I'm going really lightly. I'm barely touching. All right, and now I'm going to go back in one more time with my 1032. And I'm going to try to put a little bit of orange shadow kind of where his hands are touching. And then a little bit more around his mouth. All right, everyone, I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you like what you see, make sure you hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you're told each and every time I post a new video. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, color happy, and remember, shh, it's our little secret.